Hey guys, welcome back to another one. So today we're going to talk about just some of your standard basic factory onboard equipment, what it is, what it does. I know most of the details. I'm going to say probably 95% of what this stuff does is the capabilities of it, and I've used it all at one point or another, but I'll just take you for a quick walkthrough of your control panel, your AV setup over here, your solar setup, your fridge, and all that stuff. Here we go. So first things first, your panel here, this is again for the beginners. So your panel here, we're going to start up here at the top, and that's going to show you your tanks. So if I hit gray, you can see my gray is empty right now, and that's because I have the valve open. I typically keep my valve open until probably the day before I get ready to leave on my gray tank. My black tank, I keep it closed. So you can see my black tank is 2/3 full. My fresh water, I'm hooked up to city water right now, so that's going to be at 0 or empty. And then my batteries right now are 100%, and because we've got the solar. So you've got your water pump here. So your water pump, you're only going to use that when you fill up your water tank. So if you're boondocking, you will, and you put water in your freshwater tank, you will need to use this. This turns the pump on, and it'll keep your lines pressurized. So you can use your water. You're only going to use that when you're not hooked up to city water. Your heater gas, you're going to use that when you're hooked up to like a campground. That's what we do. And your heater, I'm sorry, wrong. Heater gas you can use anywhere. Heater electric, I typically only use that when I'm hooked up at a campground. If you want to run both, you can. It actually increases the recovery time. So if you've got somebody taking showers back to back, that hot water heater will recover pretty quick with both of these on. So actually I'm going to turn this one off now. So your tank heater, that's what you're going to use for winter type conditions. It keeps your all of your freshwater tank. It's supposed to keep it from freezing over, your gray water tank and your black water tank. There are heating pads on all of them, as well as around some of the little jackets where you actually drain at. I will say, in 8 to 12 degrees, that was not successful. Everything froze. So I don't know what the limits are, but I can tell you they're far above 8 to 12 degrees. It won't help there. Interior, of course, you see here you can turn off all of your interior. We typically just keep this on, and then we push the buttons on each one of these and kind of dial it in where we see fit. Your porch light, this is going to be the orange porch light outside. That's supposed to help with not drawing bugs in. The awning light here, this is the LED strip under the awning outside. Of course, you got your slide out in and out. These slide outs here, again, I've heard, we've been lucky and we haven't had an issue, but there's been tons of issues with these getting out of sync, which you can reset via the controller under there. There's also a way to manually pull this in if, in fact, the controller fails or one of the motors fail. You can disengage and you can pull that in manually if you need to. Hopefully you don't need that. Awning extend, this is for our exterior awning going in and out. So that is this controller explained, pretty much in a nutshell. Again, on the slide out, go all the way in, one run, all the way out. That is supposed to help with the motors not getting out of sync. We do it this way, and we have not had an issue yet. Fingers crossed. So we're going to move over here to the TV. We have the Noxa TV on board here. And then this also has the Wi-Fi Ranger setup and the WindGuard antenna. So here's your WindGuard antenna. If you did want to hook the antenna, you're going to run a small cable from here over to here, and you're going to push this button and you're going to turn it on. And that is your antenna. Of course, the power outlet here, and then your Wi-Fi Ranger is here. You're going to turn your Wi-Fi Ranger on, and then you're going to connect to it via the instructions in your user's manual, and then you'll set it up that way. So you basically use your computer, you'll hook to the campground Wi-Fi, and then that will distribute to all of the Wi-Fi items that you have on board. So it's useful in that regard, but what I've found out for us, not very useful. The speeds are super slow. I can't stream. It's not like it's boosting the speeds. It's just boosting the signal. So we'll pick up the signal a lot further away, but it just seems like it slows everything down for some reason. So we just simply don't use it. Here is for your satellite setup, if you wanted to use a cable satellite. And again, this goes to the outside. You'll see it where it says satellite. And then you got some USB charging ports here. So we run a Fire TV, and we run Starlink. So our whole camper is connected to Starlink. So that's kind of our Wi-Fi ranger. We set up the Starlink, and it makes everything, as soon as I fire it up, everything's already connected. So that works great for us. We'll touch on the Furrion system here. This does connect to your TV as well, so you can use these speakers over TV. You just have to push the AV button. One thing that's a little annoying with this thing is every time you turn it on, it's always on an AM radio, and if it's 1 o'clock in the morning, when I'm first hooking up, it just blasts static outside. So in order to turn off zone 2, which is outside, you're just going to push and hold zone 2. Actually, it's not on right now. So yeah, you'll push zone 2 off. You just push and hold it for zone 2 on. Of course, we'll turn that back off. You got multiple settings here. You can hook via Bluetooth. On this one, you can select multiple sources. You can go USB, AM, FM. These here, not real sure what those are. We don't use those. But you can connect your phone to it as well, which we don't use that. Of course, there's your HDMI if you want to use that. There's your headphones if you want to use that. It's pretty much all I know about this. That's the extent of how I use it. But that's it. That's your complete AV setup. Again, if you're using the Furrion system, I know these have changed in the past couple of years, so this may not be relevant to you. All right, so now we're going to talk inverter. So if you are on battery and you are boondocking and you wanted to use that battery or use your outlets for 110 or 115 volts, you're going to have to push this, and boom, it's on just like that. One thing is you want to make sure you turn it off when you're not using them. So there we go, turning it back off. And my understanding is that will operate everything, obviously, but the microwave and the air conditioner. Microwave and air conditioner, not going to run off that inverter. I'm sure there's ways to do that, but we don't use it that way. There may be some sort of modifications that you can make to make that work. I know a lot of people do lithium batteries, multiple solar panels on top to increase the capacity, but we don't do that. Next, we'll talk hood vent. This hood vent's pretty basic. See, it's got a light in there. One thing you just need to know when you're using this is you need to actually open the little vent on the outside of the camper. So, won't do you any good if it's not open out there. So make sure that vent's open. It just pops up with 2 little clips on each side of it. And that's pretty much it. So this setup also has an oven on board. Honestly, I would have probably, if we hadn't bought this private party, I would have probably opted for cabinets. It's a pretty basic setup. Again, make sure your gas is on outside. This is a gas oven. You're just going to turn one of these on and then hit your ignite. Pretty basic in that regard. So now we're going to touch on the Go Power solar controller. We again don't use solar very often, but this has been beneficial in some regards. One thing's been beneficial with is, not having to constantly keep batteries charged. So I do like it in that regard. I mean, if I need to jump in it while it's at the storage place or at the house, I don't really have to hook it up to have lights on or anything like that. So it works well. You can see right now ours is charging at 13.8 volts, and it just kind of toggles back and forth, and let's see, 0.7 amps. So that means our batteries are not 100% right now. Well, there they are. Okay, now they are 100%, or it says they are. So anyway, there is an app for this too. You can download the app. I haven't found it again to be very beneficial at all, but to each their own. There is an app out there. Give it a shot. Give it, check it out. So here is our heater thermostat, and again, this is a modification. I'll put it in the link down below if you want to modify your factory one to this. I like this one because it tells me what the temperature is in here. So it's been good in that regard. Again, this is heat only, about 40 bucks off of Amazon. Super simple to switch out. So yeah, Keep in mind though too, the heat in here is gas. So this is gas, and of course the heat comes out of this vent here, and then over here by the door it comes out via that vent there as well. What we did in extreme cold, it was keeping up. I mean, it kept us warm, but we were using an electric heater, a little small electric heater too, just to kind of help save some gas. I mean, we were hooked to a campground. We didn't necessarily need to use gas heat. But the one thing with electric heat, as always, it does make it dry, so you may want to run a humidifier if you're going to choose to do that, which was what we did, and it was very comfortable. Okay, we got a standard microwave here. And again, you can't run that microwave unless there's some sort of serious modifications made, or you're running on a generator or campground. It won't run off of the batteries and the inverter. We have the Dometic fridge here, which will run off of gas or electric. Gas is up and electric is the button in, and of course you have the on and off button. That's as simple as it gets. Takes a little while to get this thing ramped up. I mean, it could take anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. What we typically do is put some ice packs in there, and that helps boost it along to get to temp pretty quickly when we get to our campground. And then we'll touch on the little breaker panel down here. If your outlets aren't working, well, I guarantee it's going to be one of these guys here. You've got your monitoring panel fuses, you've got your hitch light fuses, you've got your appliance fuses, no, sorry, and then you've got your fan and radio, and then you got a heater, and then you've got your battery fuses. So those are your fuses there. So these are the fuses you probably want to have some extras on hand. So yeah, make sure you pick up some of those, and then of course some of these are over here, they're just on breakers themselves. So yeah, if you have anything fail, something's not working in your camper, check these first. This is definitely more than likely going to be the case. The only time I've tripped these breakers here was when I was using a heater and a coffee maker all at the same time. It did trip those fuses. All right, last thing we're gonna touch on here is your carbon monoxide and propane gas alarm. This little guy is sensitive, and it likes to go off when it catches a weird smell, which I guess is a good thing, you know, but it will also alarm and go off when your batteries are low. So remember, out under the tongue over by the batteries, you can't see it, but there's a switch out there. So before you store this thing, make sure you turn that battery switch under the tongue off. It's under there. You just got to look for it. It's a little turn dial. But if the batteries get low, this will go off. If you're winterizing and you've put antifreeze in the drains and you've got an antifreeze smell in here, this will go off also. It's gone off multiple times for us in both of those scenarios. In order to reset it, you just push the little button here, right there, that little guy right there. Push that button, that'll reset it, and you'll have to obviously clear whatever smells, turn on your max air fan, get all the smells out, or whatever it is, or just turn your battery switch off outside and that will go off. When we bought this trailer, apparently the storage guy had disconnected all the batteries. He couldn't find the cutoff switch, and this was going off in the middle of the night and driving him crazy. So yeah, these are pretty sensitive. So, and then the last thing we're going to touch on is fire extinguisher here. There's your fire extinguisher. It's kind of small. We keep a backup in our tow vehicle as well. And then the smoke alarm, and that'll conclude this video. So here's your all-important smoke alarm. Pretty simple, pretty basic. Again, if you're cooking bacon in here, this is going to go off if you don't have your exhaust fan on or your max air fan on. So if it does go off, just push the button here to silence it. And then again, you're going to have to clear the trailer of whatever the smoke is. If it's food smoke or whatever, you're going to have to clear it. So it won't fully reset until then. So that pretty much concludes this video. Again, for you beginners, the reason I do these videos here is because I know I had so many questions when I was researching this trailer before buying it, and it's hard to find answers out there. So if there's a video that you need me to break down for you, just put it in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to do a video for you guys. So I hope you find this useful. I hope it explains some things for you. These are great trailers, very well built. I know some of the 22, 23 models, you know, with COVID, I think there's some questions coming into, as far as quality concerns coming into play there. This is a 2021, and we have yet, fingers crossed, we've yet to have any issues in this trailer other than some screws coming loose and things like that. But great trailers, I highly recommend them. But for all you beginners, again, hopefully this is beneficial. If you need a specific video and you're a newbie and you don't have anyone to explain it to you, well, I'm here. Just, again, drop it in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to make a video for you and post it up. I just want to help those who are thinking about getting a Geo Pro, or who have just recently purchased a Geo Pro, know the ins and outs of the trailers. So again, great trailers, happy camping. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.